Hi, this is Vonda Woodall, and here is the story of my peeps. For the most part, it's pretty boring until you get to about the fifth generation. I was able to get a lot of information from my mom. She will be 85 on Saturday, and she is just as sassy as ever and had a lot of fun with this. So I have more information about her family than my father's. He passed away about 14 years ago. So I have his back to his grandfather and then one person beyond that. But I'm working on getting that additional information. It just didn't come through for us. So we will start here with me. There I am, Vonda Woodall. I was born in 1968 at St. Mary's Hospital in Athens, Georgia. I have 4 kids. I think I've already told you guys that at some point. And I have a BS and a master's, and I'm a high school teacher. And all of the people on this chart are English speakers. I did find one second generation Scottish person, but from what I can tell, everybody was born here and their primary language was English. Here is my mom. We call her Jeanette Self. She doesn't like her first name. She was actually born in Anderson, South Carolina in 1934. She earned a high school diploma at Colbert High School. She had 4 children. I'm the youngest of 4. She was primarily a stay-at-home mom, but she also did work. I remember her working on the night shift when they needed money so that she could be home with us during the day. And like I said, she's doing great, traveling, having fun with her friends, going to her little Bible studies. My dad, Herbert Vernell Pruitt here, was born in Eastman, Georgia. He was born in 1926, died in 2004. Very unexpectedly. He did go to UGA. He was there for a little over 3 years on and off. He actually was in the Athens history book, one of them. I'm sure there's more than one, but I have a copy of the one he was in the 70s. He was in the book. In the 1940s, he and his sister had a radio show with, it was a live show on WNGC. They were live on the radio, and also some of their memorabilia, including one of my dad's shirts and a little scarf that they wore and a guitar. All of that is in the UGA vault because they were a part of the Georgia the Georgia Music Hall of Fame, which used to be located in Macon, but now the UGA owns it. So my son actually was able to go and look at some of the stuff in the vault there at UGA. So that's really cool. He was the best dad ever. He was also choir director and retired from Tally Industries, which at the time was affiliated with Westclock. All right, so going back to my mom, you can see with her folks here, from South Carolina and from Greene County, and then it moves on up to the North Georgia mountains. My grandmother was born in Starr, South Carolina. I think that's near Anderson, 10th grade education, 8 kids. She was a seamstress and did work at a sewing plant at times. She loved her church choir, loved music. My grandfather, I also remember him, 1912 to 1980. He actually was born in Greene County, Georgia. He only went through 3rd grade. He was a skilled blacksmith, and I also remember him being a musician. And you can see in their family line, the Browns here, all of these are from South Carolina, and then you can see my grandfather's family went back towards like North Georgia, the North Georgia mountains, and then they came down to Greene County. So with my grandfather's people here, well, I'll save that story for a minute. My grandmother's people, I do have rocking chairs from John Wesley's Brown plantation house that he inherited. His father died in the Civil War. There's a story about a child born into slavery that was freed that chose to stay there, and he grew up with him and they were friends. My mom actually met him. And again, my mom's 85, so you can understand how that was possible. She met him, I think, at his funeral, if I remember the story, and he was a really old man at the time. So I have those rocking chairs that were on that front porch. So that's kind of the story here with Rose Kelly and John Wesley Brown and that family. Very much a Southern heritage there. This Martha Jane Bailey, I have a little prayer book that she had. She was married to Charles Evans Ussery, and this guy here, his family are the ones who came over from Scotland. So he was like I guess that would be a second generation Scottish person. And then here, Clara Mae Crumley Canup, back to the North Georgia mountains with Monroe Church Canup. I was able to find his tombstone in the mountains. We know where that's located, and I did go and see that with my sister at one point. And as you can see, my family had lots of children, lots of music in the family. I grew up around music, and that's what I remember. And then when you get down here to my dad's family, it kind of ends after his grandparents. One interesting story here is down here in Dodge County in Eastman. You see where a lot of the Irish comes in. My dad, redheaded, freckled, fair skin. And if you ever see a picture of me, I don't look like that at all. I look like my mom's side of the family, very, Mediterranean skin. And I'll tell you more about that story. But here with my dad, I do remember seeing a picture of this in my mom's house. She still has it. And this guy named Abraham Giddens was, I don't know if he was kind of a sheriff or a mayor of the town, but it's a picture of him with all of his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. My dad over here was a young child. And there was a school named after his family, Giddens School. I don't know if it's still there in Dodge County or not. And here we go with more Scots-Irish. And this person here is who brought the redhead into the family. My dad, all of his siblings had bright red hair and fair skin. Going back to my darker skin tone, I've always been told that this person here, Martha Jane Kelly, who was my great-great-grandmother, that she was full-blooded Cherokee, which would make me 1/16 Cherokee, which would account for my skin tone. And so, growing up my whole life, that's what I was told. Well, my middle son had some DNA stuff done through 23andMe and found that he was 3% African. I'm going to have that done at some point. So if I find out that I'm 6% African, I would actually be 1/6 African American, not Native American, which would also account for my skin tone and which would make her an African American female. And I've heard in the South that sometimes people would do that. They would pass themselves off as Cherokee, like when there was controversy with marrying a white person. So that may have been what happened in my family. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. I'm assuming I have a little African. It was in particular West African that they had on his chart. So I'm interested to see what it says about me whenever I get it done. All right, there you go. Thanks.